welcome to the Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS,
I was pleasantly surprised.
BlackGirlMarvel,
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tyler the Filmmaker,
It's like so much depth. It's like nowadays it's, you got A shot, B shot.
all the movie things,
There's some great wide shots in this.
Janine DeBean,
Each other, they just kind of look like they were having fun and doing their own thing.
produced by Hyena, and me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
But this was the first time where I got to see it told in a way where I was like, oh man.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Hello and welcome to The Real Study. I am MrSniDBitS. No BlackGirlMarvel this evening. She will be joining us again next week. But with me tonight we do have Janine DeBean and all the movie things. And we are going to do some romantic films. The classic Roman Holiday, written by Dalton Trumbo, Academy Award-winning Audrey Hepburn in her first film, as well as a River Phoenix hidden gem that I think all the movie things had never heard of before this week, Dogfight. And we'll, of course, get into those here in a few minutes. Before that, we want to move over to the main wall and talk about social media. But first, I want to say hi. How you guys doing? How was your last week? Are you guys doing good this week?
Hanging in
Yeah,
there.
doing okay.
Hanging in there, doing all right. All right.
Yeah.
It is the times, but hey, we're here,
Yeah.
and we're here to try to entertain and talk about some great flicks. We, of course, have the movies that we've watched this week outside of our two reviewed films. But if you are not already following us, please follow us on all social media. You can follow us on Twitch, YouTube here, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, or even, what is that one called? Skylight Social is the new kind of TikTok replacement, if you will. You can follow us there as well. That said, we are going to get into a little bit of news. There's a few news stories this week. Nothing outrageous, but still some interesting stuff. So we're going to move on over and do the real news.
Now it's time for the real news.
All right. So the very first thing that we're going to talk about is the new, category that's going to be in the Oscars starting in 2027, I believe. I don't think they're starting it for next year. And that will be stunts. Stunts
Finally.
will finally get, right? They will finally get their just due. And it's interesting.
It's like
'cause it's
stunt
something-
design, I think, specifically. is
Right,
what they're
right. So
calling it. Yeah.
it's not just the action of, but how they put it together and the whole
Yeah.
the art of it, right? And it's wild because somebody brought up a fairly interesting point. What will this do to trying to push the envelope for stunts? Is this going to push people to do some pretty crazy stuff to
Crazy
try to win
things
the
to get.
Oscar?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily that or if it's I imagine the Oscar is going to go to whoever the stunt coordinator is. And so I imagine it's going to be more like how one element would to be considered would be how complicated was the organization and design of a stunt, and so it's and does it go to that movie, or is it going to be a specific part of a movie that's going to be nominated? So I imagine it would be a whole movie would probably be nominated for best stunt design, but
And would just add to their total of award wins or
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm here for it. I think
Yeah.
we've been talking about how we wish they'd have this category for the longest
A
time.
long
so-
time ago. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good. This is progress.
awesome. Yes.
There
Yeah.
are still other categories I'm sure they can add, but hey, we're making headway. Let's see. The other piece of news that I have is they finally greenlit the Carrie TV show directed by Mike Flanagan. This is actually going to be a spin-off of the movie, I believe, not
The
book. Is from what I read. So that'll be really interesting. And so they are casting these characters already, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like I said, Mike Flanagan is the director, but then you've got these two ladies. The girl on the left has already been cast and was cast as one of, I think, the antagonists in the film. I'm trying to remember her name because I don't remember her name super well. Because these are actors I have never seen before.
Yeah. They
Let's
don't look
see
familiar.
here. They don't, right? But I do have it. If I could just get myself to pull it up quickly, it wouldn't be a problem. Their names are Summer H. Howell is the girl on the right. She's actually the one that they're considering for Carrie herself. And then you have Sienna Agudang is going to actually play one of the protagonists or the antagonists. So it's a pretty super young cast, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with this.
High school kids that are going to look like high school kids.
Right.
And I'm hoping since it's Mike Flanagan, that means it's probably going to be pretty brutal. It's going to be pretty good, bloody, pretty gory, over the top.
And he has an incredible track record, so
he really does.
I trust this in his hands for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what they do with it. The other one that our producer Hannah wanted to bring up, Aina, is that they're doing a Mummy remake, and that's finally been greenlit. And they actually cast May Kalamawe. I said that totally wrong. I'm terrible with names. As one of the lead characters in The Mummy, and she is actually Egyptian. So we're looking forward to actually having an Egyptian person playing a character within the Mummy franchise, which is really cool.
That's awesome. Like, she's in the Moon Knight series, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then, of course, something was mentioned is she was not put into Gladiator 2. They had a scene with her in it, but they cut the scene.
They kind of sidelined her a little bit in that. Yeah. Right.
So that's terrible, but hopefully this will make up.
I mean, that happens. That's not like an unusual thing that happens quite often.
It happens to everybody, right? It happens to people that are big, small, extras. How many extras never made it to screen, right? It's a sad thing. Janine, you had a piece of news you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I recently saw that they are gonna remake The Bodyguard. Warner Brothers announced this, and it's going to be the director of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie and the screenwriter of Juror Number 2. Mm-hmm. So yeah, an interesting mix of things. I guess because he can do the concert scenes and those kinds of things. I mean, but I don't know who they would cast. I don't know who. I don't feel like there's anybody today who could speak to what Whitney's presence. So I don't think it's necessary, but
I mean, just the whole behind that whole making of that film was hinged on getting Whitney. Exactly. Costner himself was talks all the time about how he wasn't even gonna do it. He fought to get Whitney himself. It's
and she was super nervous because she had never really acted before.
Right.
But she did an amazing job. So yeah.
That
2 Oscar nominations. I think it made over $400 million. So I get the thought to want to remake it, but yes.
Yeah, the soundtrack's great. I mean, yeah.
So
there's no way.
I was really curious what Brian thought of this because
I'm not
Whitney
into
Houston's
this.
One of his favorites. So
yeah.
What were you gonna say, Janine? I didn't mean to jump.
Just not into the idea of this, but
No.
But it could be that could lend to it, right? If you're not into the idea, then you're going to go in skeptical, and if they do a good job, you're like, oh, they redeemed this, and it's good for a new generation.
I appreciate your optimism.
I don't see it that way either. But if they, what if they get Taylor Swift and
I am not a Swiftie. I am far from a Swiftie. So, I don't know.
Well, who would? I mean, let's say singer. Who would they get? I mean, who honestly has the chops?
I mean, someone had mentioned Beyonce, but she's also not a great actress. You know what I mean?
No, she's not a strong actress.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, neither's Taylor. Let's be honest.
No.
She's just herself.
Definitely no.
The 2 movies she's been in. I don't even know who to consider.
And would they even get an actual pop star? Would they just get an actress and have the actress play a pop star?
Right.
Well, they could get Sabrina Carpenter. She acted before she did her whole singing career. So
she did. But I don't see her having the following that the singer had in the movie. I don't see that correlation. Yeah.
That makes sense. This will be a tricky one. This will be tricky. We'll see.
I'm just always surprised that this would even be an idea. Let's move forward with this. But I mean, with Zaslav, at the helm, it doesn't surprise me.
Yes.
I mean,
because she has to be a single mother as well if they're gonna do kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has to be a bit of a diva and have this attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah, there's not.
I mean,
Yeah, that's yeah.
No,
there are
Beyonce still
levels.
feels like she fits the bill a little closer than anybody else right now. But yeah,
right.
yeah. We'll see who they announce. That's the most important
Yeah.
part. It's giving me like if they wanted to remake The Sound of Music and they like tried to stick to it, and I'm like, why would you do that? It's
Yeah.
a weird thing to remake.
I'm sure that's in the works too. I would not be surprised.
That's true. That's true. All right, so that is the real news this week. We are going to move on to our Reel Roundup, where we actually all three saw something we wanted to talk about this week. Brian, Warzone is the movie you saw. And
Warfare.
Warfare. Warzone.
You're on a roll.
So much war in all of our media that those words start to blend. Warfare. My apologies.
Yeah.
Both of those are Call of Duty titles, by the way, so that's why I mixed
Right.
those up.
Yeah. Warzone and Warfare. I know.
Go ahead, Brian. What do you think?
There's Modern Warfare.
Right.
Warfare coming to Xbox this summer.
Right.
No, it is a this is a directing team. Alex Garland, who we all kind of know and love, Civil War, Ex Machina, all those kind of things. No stranger to A24. This is an A24 film, but also the other director is it's Ray Mendoza, who is his character himself is in this film. You have an incredible cast.
Yeah.
And it's all based on memory, which is like kind of funny to say. Like they stuck strictly to the memories of everyone that was experienced this event, rather than like it based
filling
on
gaps
true events
with,
or
filling gaps with like fancy stuff,
dramatic
that
things,
look more dramatic. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, which is, and it's also doesn't follow some kind of like film standard movie things that you would kind of like want or like hope for. Like there's no real break for a lot of times. You give the audience a little breather when there's like some really intense stuff going on, and then you give the audience a break. That's not happening in this film. Like it's kind of like a slow burn in the beginning, but you get to see like, oh, this is kind of what they deal with.
Yeah.
Nothing's really happening, and then suddenly once it's on, there's no reprieve. It's relentless.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, the sound design is
it's so good. I watched it this morning. So
God, you watched it this morning? Oh my God! Like,
yeah.
Good morning. Let's watch this
right?
insane movie. Like, that'll wake you up. Yeah. Like I don't like. I mean,
nothing happens until it does, and then it's just
exactly.
insane.
Yeah, you're kind of with there, and the sound is like I said, plays a huge part in this movie. Because they really like, and there's really no character development, because that's not really what it's about. Man, there's like a lot to like talk about it, but like it's really one of the big reasons they made this film. Ray Mendoza said was for one of his buddies that's in this named Elliot, who actually did not remember. He has no memory of any of this.
Wow.
So they recreated this film, or essentially recreated this event exactly how they all remember it and experienced it. So he could also remember it and experience it, again. And it's like, I mean, and the stuff that happens to him is like nuts. Like, I mean,
it's very visceral.
The makeup,
you can feel
effects.
it. Somebody like described it as like a war movie that you can actually feel and experience.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it was super anxiety inducing. I don't I'm not really affected by like jump scares or anything like that really very often. There was like one specific IED moment that happened. There's only one IED.
Yeah.
That thing scared the shit out of the whole
Me
audience.
too.
Like, holy hell. Oh my God. Like, that was intense. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was crazy. I mean, it's some can argue that this is like a propaganda thing. I didn't see it as that.
Yeah.
But I think that's an element of like a lot of people assume all war films are gonna be propaganda. So I think if you have that mindset going into this, you're already gonna see it through that lens of like, oh, this is just
Yeah.
propaganda. They try really hard to like not make it that.
Just stick to the experience of what is happening in this moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they don't try to like villainize, because it is during 2006. So this is Operation. I was actually still in the Navy during this, but I was on shore duty, so I was like not deployed or anything. But still during
That
an
time.
Iraq conflict, and it's set in Iraq, and so they don't really like like try to villainize the folks they're fighting. We really don't see them too much, but we kind of like, but there is a family though. So there's this family that they kind of take over their home to do surveillance and to use as a base of operations. And
That is really weird. All of a sudden, I'm hearing
that is really weird. Yeah.
That's
I'm not sure what's going
What
on
is
there.
happening?
Yeah.
really odd.
But anyway, so there's
Ghost
an element
snippet.
of that. Like I felt for that family that they were
Yeah.
taking this house over, so.
And it just shows the casualties of these kinds of things.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really just about survival and them
Yeah.
trying to get out alive in this
Yeah.
situation. So, and that it was just, I mean, yeah, because it's not like a winning thing. They're not like winning anything. They're not like, they're just getting their ass handed to them.
It's a scenario that they're going through.
Yeah, it's just crazy experience that they had. They're all Navy SEALs, and it was just, it's nuts. I recommend seeing it in the theater so you can experience all the
and
things.
It's really short.
It is, yeah. It's like an
hour, 35 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that is short.
Like they
Especially
get in
for
and
a
out.
war film, like really short for a war film.
Well, and I imagine, I don't know how long the actual event took place, but I imagine it was probably felt like forever because it does feel that way with all that intensity going on.
Yeah.
But it probably was like,
that fast. Yeah.
Maybe that fast. So.
Can you compare this to anything else like Black Hawk Down or Full Metal Jacket?
That's probably the closest thing is Black Hawk Down because that was, but although that is like dramatized, you know what I mean? That is a similar scenario where they were kind of like this terrible thing happens and they all just have to survive and get out. But that one is more a traditional, still much of a traditional film where they kind of build these characters up, and then it gets to the main event and then it's about them. So you kind of like follow these characters where this one's just about, we don't really know anything about these guys before. Like it opens really kind of funny though. Like,
I
was not expecting the way it opens
right up front. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you get this camaraderie.
We get their rapport.
Them.
Yeah, we get the rapport more than any kind of individual personality thing with each guy.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I will probably watch it. I mean, ultimately, if it's a war film, being multiple generations of the military, you tend to be like, what's this one like? Does this remind me of my dad in any way?
And it really affected the actors too. They went through some intense training for it, like a lot of weapons training. So they all have like tattoos now together because of this experience and everything. So
wow, okay,
that's pretty.
So it bonded really them like in real life. That's very cool.
And they were really great too. I mean, so it's good.
All right, Janine, you got to see Drop. Tell us about Drop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think, the director and most people, I think, are making the comparison to Wes Craven's Red Eye. So definitely,
really?
I think that's a good film to equate this one to. A woman is going out on a date with somebody she's been talking to for months. This is finally their first date. They're at this really fancy high-rise restaurant when she starts getting these airdrops telling her all of these things she needs to do, and one of them being she needs to kill her date. So she's trying to figure out where these drops are coming from. They can see her. They know what she's doing. If she tries to, call for help or ask somebody, they are in her house and they are saying that they're going to kill her son if she doesn't do what they ask her to do. So it's her kind of the whole night trying to act normal on this date because the airdrop person is asking her to and telling her if she doesn't, bad things will happen, and her trying to exhaust every avenue to figure out how to get out of the situation. So it's really tense. It does a lot of fun camera stuff, like when she's kind of panning around the room trying to figure out like who the killer is. Like they kind of highlight the people that might be suspects by like shining a light on them and like darkening the rest of the space. Like, so we
Oh,
do some like
interesting.
fun things like that.
Yeah.
You know, some great kind of like somebody flips her over a table and the camera flips with her. So there's a lot of
Cool.
fun kind of cool camera quirks and like lighting things that really just add to kind of the style of the film. It gives it kind of a bit of a Hitchcock quality as well. So it's really a good if you liked the trailer and that looked interesting to you, it plays pretty straight into that. So
Okay.
I
Nice.
definitely had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, the
I've heard
trailer
some
was
Die
intriguing
Hard
too.
comparisons too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's like because it's like a one location kind of
Yeah.
thing.
One
And
Yes.
building,
yeah, like
one protagonist.
that's good to
in
hear
the
about.
world.
Like they really try to inject a lot. Because to me, it came off as like I don't know how interesting that or how much that could hold my attention for a whole film.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they really try to inject a lot of energy into
Yes. So they
stuff.
find things to fill the time with, like, okay, she has to try
Yeah.
to do this and this doesn't work, and she has to try to do this and it puts this person in danger, and who is actually doing it, because they
Yeah.
always show like all these different people on their phones, so she doesn't know like who it could be, and then she has
Oh
to try to
man.
act normal for her date, and she
Right.
can't let him leave because that's part of like she'll get in trouble if her date leaves, and
Mhm.
it also plays into her having a really kind of traumatic experience that she, you know, that ties into this experience. So it's her
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to, it relates to something she went through in the past. So there's a
Mhm.
connectivity to a trauma that she went through. And
Yeah.
now she's kind of having to overcome it here in a way that she didn't, you know, in the past. So there's that kind of aspect added in there as well.
She didn't
Yeah.
go to therapy. She probably should have
Well,
went to therapy
she's
first.
a therapist,
Oh,
actually.
that's funny.
So,
wow,
Well, that
okay.
makes sense.
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
even therapists need therapy. So
Is it like they
Exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
was there any kind of metaphor you took away? Like to me it almost sounds like is it a metaphor for like relationships in general or dating today? You know, is there anything
um
for that?
I think it's more because she deals with domestic abuse, so I think those
Ah,
are kind
okay.
of the themes that they're kind
Gotcha.
of playing into,
Mhm.
more than kind of I think anything else. But
Yeah.
yeah, dating as well. It's like that also kind of plays into the metaphor of her kind of
Right.
getting back out there and starting over and
Yeah.
feeling like she's worthy of that,
Uh,
being with someone who didn't, you know, treat her well before. So, uh,
mhm.
yeah, yeah, I really had a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
awesome.
Cool.
2 more movies for my list. It sounds like I love it. All right, so I actually got to finally watch The Wild Robot, and it's not because I couldn't watch this
Ooh.
way before now. It's more that everybody
still
told me it
haven't
was a
watched that.
tearjerker.
Oh
Well,
man.
then I will warn you, this is a tearjerker, and not
Oh
like
yeah,
one of
I
those
know.
like a little bit sobbing, like get some tissue, sit and buckle in.
Yeah, there's a couple
for
moments
feels,
too. Like it's
right?
not just
Right.
one time. Like
As a parent, this movie kicked me in the teeth, is the way I would like to put it. By the time you get halfway through the movie, or basically at the end of I guess maybe the second act, the end of the second act,
Mhm.
it is, it's gut wrenching. And then I'm like, wait, and there's more? Oh,
Mhm.
crap. Okay, where is this going to go? Beautiful animation, amazing voice acting work. Like I couldn't even tell. Like I had to look, and I was like, "Wait, Pedro Pascal? What? He's the
I
fuck?
know.
What? I didn't know that." Bill Nye's voice, I totally picked up like immediately. But the concept, the idea of this robot figuring out how to become useful in a situation where it never could be useful is brilliant. It's so simple and so brilliant. The characteristics of all the critters, especially the possum family, is like my favorite. It's cute, it's funny, it's over the top in little instances, but it stays grounded with all the heart that you could ever want in an animated movie. Yeah, I gave this 10 out of 10.
Nice.
This is going into my collection. I hope my
Mhm.
kids watch this when they're older. And I hope I don't ever have to feel these feelings, although I think every parent will always feel these feelings. So I think if you're a parent, go in prepared. Even if you're a pet parent, I think it would be just as much, because there's still an element of, well, I don't want to say. I don't want to ruin this movie by talking about it too much.
Okay.
Because it's really just go in and enjoy it. Like I was cheering at one point, like, yeah,
Oh,
like, yes,
okay.
get him.
Okay.
Like that's, yeah, anyway. So yeah, check out The Wild Robot if you have not. It is on Max, I believe. So you can check that out. we should watch After Sun. That's what Aina was saying. I don't know what that is.
I think it's Paul Mescal movie. It was like his kind of movie that like put him on the map, kind of thing. That got him kind of known to American audiences.
Nice. All right. That being the last real recommendation or real roundup, if you will, we can move into the two movies that we are watching tonight. And tonight's picks are from Janine Devine. She actually picked both of these movies. And they are romance movies, so you can see a correlation. She does love the romance genre. This was my first time with Roman Holiday. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, actually.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So it'll be one of us.
It's on my list for a long time, but
right? Yeah, it sits pretty high on my list because Dalton Trumbo really caught my attention as a writer and as a human. Even just watching his movie with Bryan Cranston is a brilliant film, and it goes into how he didn't get credit for this film, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's hear what well, he was labeled a communist, so they were like,
that's right,
blacklisted him.
This was that time. That's right, that blacklist era.
Later on they gave it back to him, so
and I think he went under a pseudonym for a while as well.
So pretty interesting stuff. So what did you think, Brian? What did you think of Roman Holiday?
Yeah, it was great. I laughed way more than I thought than I was expecting. I mean, there's some really cute moments, just like I mean, Audrey Hepburn is just like the cutest, she's just adorable.
This was her introduction. It's wild.
Yeah, she's just like, I know she did a really great job. Just like the whole acting. I'm so happy. Just her acting like messed up off this drug or whatever they gave her. I'm like, man, some good stuff they gave her. I don't know what it was,
right?
But the whole stare thing where she walks around the stairs instead of
there's a lot of great physical comedy.
I know. I was like, whoa. And I had a feeling he was gonna do something with the bed when he found her on the bed, and just flips her onto the like, whoa. I was like, man, they're really doing it too, damn. Yeah, and she just stayed locked in, acting like she was asleep too.
Sleeping.
That looked rough, but but it was good. It was nice to see. I see what you're Janine. You mentioned last week. It was this movie with Gregory Peck is fun to see him kind of play against typecast in a way. You know what I mean?
It was really important to him. To do that for once to kind of change that reputation he had. It was written for Cary Grant, of course, so you can feel that.
That makes
and Gregory Peck said that, he said, every role like this that I went out for, it always felt like it was written for him first, so I just never did it. But Cary Grant felt like he was going to be too old to play her love interest, and then he would go on to play her love interest when he was even older in Charade. So anyway,
all right. He's I should have did Roman Holiday. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, no, it was really awesome. The whole there's those. I've been to Rome, and they do have those structures, those little sculptures where you stick your hand in the mouth. Though I can't remember what they call those, but yeah, it is kind of so that was a fun little playful thing that they did, and he got to play that up and have a little fun with that. There are the one thing that kind of stuck out for me too was I don't know if this kind of scenario would fly today with this strange man just takes this woman he doesn't know into his place, and I mean,
and
I don't know,
he's using her for a story, so there's that element as well.
It's oh, okay, but yeah, they kept it pretty light, so, and
charming,
it's an older film, so it's I
mean, he is a perfect gentleman to her in that sense.
No, totally.
He does it all right.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just I just had a lot of fun with it, and very much laughed out loud a few times and was not expecting it. So yeah, glad I got to see it finally.
I'm gonna echo what Brian said. Of course, Audrey Hepburn's cute as hell. There's a reason she became popular after this film. But for me, that wasn't the focus. I actually share a birthday with Audrey Hepburn. We actually have the same birthday.
Mine's with Ingrid.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
But for me, it was the Gregory Peck character. Watching him try to figure out how to make this all happen and navigate the whole thing, all while being like $5,000. That's a lot of money. I got to really make this happen. But I love his interactions with Irving.
Oh my gosh,
between him
constantly
and Irving
spilling stuff on him
so
to get him to be
amazing.
quiet.
Yeah, like what do you mean? Yeah, you did it. What are you talking about? You did it. And then like just constantly causing this folly in order to drive, this wedge between the conversation was so great. And then he does it again later.
Yeah.
And Irving just gets so frustrated. He's like, why do you keep
he doesn't
beating
get
me up
it.
and knocking me down, dude? What are you doing?
Yeah.
It was tremendous. Even the conversation with him, with the Gregory Peck character and his boss, was great. Just watching him try to BS his way through everything.
Yeah.
And I got this weird like impression that somebody watched Roman Holiday and then went, I'm gonna write a story called Princess Diaries, where it's the reverse story, where a normal girl becomes a princess. And I kind of, it feels like if they just twisted that to make Princess Diaries. Possibly not, but it just felt that way. Yeah, no, I even got teary at the end because I'm a sap and I love positive things. I mean, it's still sad. There's a bit of sad ending to a degree, but it's still like, there's some happiness there.
Yeah.
I love the lighter at the end. Like,
then he brings that back and she realizes like, oh, that's what that was. Yeah.
Oh, you guys suck. Oh, but you're nice people.
But you're not doing anything with the story. He gives her the pictures.
Right.
Yeah.
So not what I expected, but better than even I expected. Janine, I know you've seen this before, and you're obviously the one that suggested it. What are your thoughts?
Yes, and they actually had the anniversary, I think, about 2 years ago, and so I got to go see it on the big screen. It was absolutely wonderful. Nice. I just love this concept of spending a day with someone, an unexpected day with someone, and even if you never see each other again, you'll always have that memory. It's kind of fundamentally changed both of you in some way, and you'll always have that. When she was all kind of drugged up, like you said, Brian, saying that I'm so happy, and then at the end when she shakes his hand, she says that to him. She says, like, so happy to meet you. So it's just so charming, so lovely. I think Gregory Peck actually met his wife on this film. He was going through a divorce, so he was heartbroken when he was making this film, and then he met a woman while making it, and then she ended up being his wife for the rest of his life. So, and I believe Audrey Hepburn also met somebody who she got engaged to on this film, but they ultimately broke up. So kind of a funny little fun fact there with them. But I mean, they had great chemistry. I love this story. It's just so fun, so charming. I love the little gang that they form with her and Irving and Gregory Peck's character at the end, where they're kind of getting into all those hijinks. And just like a vibe between the two of them is just so heartbreaking. But I love just kind of the looks they give each other in that final scene, just knowing that they're so happy to have had this experience. So just always charmed by this movie.
Right. But they both know that nothing can come of it. Like, it's not even possible.
Yes.
Because he's not royalty, so they would never even allow it. I do love that they never tell us what country she's from. She's just from some unknown European nation.
They were under some strict guidelines with the actual royal family. They couldn't say that she was British royalty or related to the real royal family in any way. So they had to really keep a strict kind of separation between that. So
Monaco kept coming to my mind. I don't know why. I kept just thinking she's got to be the Princess of Monaco. I don't know why, but but I even the intro of the film really does lay out like how exhausting that would have to be.
I would have had that same breakdown that she was having.
Right.
And no one's listening to her, and
right. And their concern is, what do we tell the royals? Like, what do we tell your parents? Not how are you doing? And
you're just hysterical,
up, right?
Yeah.
They cover her up and say she's sick instead of that we lost her because they did.
And then I love the agency that she gains after that too, when she goes back and she's able to kind of tell them what she wants, what she doesn't want, back off, kind of leave me alone. I'll do this in my own time. I'm aware of my duties. I respect my duties, but I'm going to do it in my own way. I don't need you babysitting me like this anymore.
So by saying that Rome was her favorite city, she kind of did that as well. She was like,
they wanted her to be very diplomatic about it.
Lines, like, exactly.
But because of him, Rome was her favorite, and she says it while she's looking at him. It's just so
I know. It feels like almost the quintessential, not rom-com, because it is a rom-com in that sense, but just romance movie.
Yeah.
Because you get all the highlights, but it's still like not all romances work out, which is tragic. But it's also
you get the kind of crisis of conscience as well. Him deciding not to publish the story because he, gains his care for her. I do love the scene when they get arrested for the whole Vespa thing, and it plays out a bit like a silent movie. Like we don't get any dialogue.
Yeah.
That was kind of a fun little moment.
That was fun. Yeah.
It looked like that was her on that Vespa too. I'm not sure that was the safest of scenes, where it was her and him on that thing, just cutting in front of traffic and running over tables.
That was crazy. So I'm not too sure if it was her or not, but
the wide shots didn't seem like it was
pretty
her.
far. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Which would make the most sense. But
then even the close-ups, I think that was a rig. I think the Vespa itself was rigged to a trailer or something.
It felt that way to me too. Yeah, I agree with you. This movie is quintessential Italy too, though, but like with the Vespas.
Oh yeah,
and I think it was the first U.S. film filmed on location in Italy.
And I love how it says it's in its entirety, so every single moment of the film is in Italy. I don't know. It's interesting. I love when movies take place in other countries and they talk about money, especially when they're talking about lira in this movie. And there's
100. I'm like, what?
Right? They're talking about thousands, and I'm like, what are you guys? Are you guys rich? You don't look that rich. What's going on here? And what a tight table for poker with like 100, not really, but they're like a dozen people crammed
into that
shoulder to shoulder. It was I kind of want to watch this again. I really did enjoy it, so I'll probably make my wife watch it and be like, watch this fun romantic comedy with me.
Endlessly charming.
It almost feels like it could be a fun like date idea too to do with, where you just have this like at least like that little mini adventure part where they're kind of just like doing their thing, make up your own like montage basically. Where you do, and just do all these fun things.
Or we could maybe start setting up the Roman Holiday where we try to replicate what they did in the movie, and you go to Rome and do it. Like we'll make a package deal. The Real Study sends you to Rome. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a neat idea, though. Locations. You could do a La La Land like tour.
That'd be fun.
And make a thing of it. It could be really fun. Roman Holiday would be a perfect one, except it's so damn expensive to get over there now. So it's a bit much.
I know. I was only there because the aircraft carrier was there, so that's
it pulled up. I jumped off.
I was there. I just happened to be on the carrier, and
just happened. Didn't sign anything or get paid anything to do it.
I wasn't deployed. No,
not at all. It actually I have a good friend that lives in Italy, so I'm gonna have to ask him. I'll be like, have you ever done the Roman Holiday, like you and your wife?
That'd be fun.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have like a tour situations that
took
you to those spots. And,
No, I loved it. It's I don't know what else to say about it. I don't know if you guys have anything else to say about it, but it's a fun movie. If you haven't watched it, put it on your list. It's a classic that is a must watch without a doubt. All right, well, let's rate it, and then we can talk about the other film that next to nobody's ever heard of. We'll go in the same order. Brian, I know you're drinking. I'm sorry. What do you rate Roman Holiday?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
A 9. Solid rating.
I mean, it's a classic. It's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, that's why it's a classic.
no brainer kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So we always give some positives or negatives for things we liked, and just Gregory Peck's voice deserves an extra point by default. So I'm gonna rate it a 9, but I think it's a 10 just because he's got that I'm Gregory Peck. Like he's got that
the timbre.
Right? Going on. So this is a 10. I love this movie. How about you, Janine?
Yes, a 10 all the way. I love it. I love Gregory Peck. I love him playing against type. It's just perfect. I love it.
Yeah. My only experience with him before this was To Kill a Mockingbird. So
please seek out his filmography. He's great.
I am. It's definitely he's gaining more.
The original Cape Fear, really good.
Yeah.
And he plays the dad, right? He plays the dad
Yes.
in that one.
Mhm.
And then it's
Robert Mitchum.
Robert Mitchum.
Yeah.
That's the villain, which is perfect in my opinion.
Yes.
So okay, yeah,
Very
I'll
dark.
definitely do that.
And they both cameo in the remake.
Did they really?
Oh, did
it's
they?
been so long since I've seen it.
Martin Balsam, who's in the original as well, he also cameos in the
oh man
as well.
Yeah,
all three of them.
Okay, so now I gotta just go watch them as a pair.
It's been so long since I've seen that.
Well, wait. Why don't
me and Morgan have a good laugh at old Gregory Peck's eyebrows because they're like bushy and white, or dark black in comparison to his white hair. So
maybe we have to do a Cape Fear night where we do the pair of them. I think that might be interesting. We have more movies to go for this year. By the way, we are almost to our 300th film on the Reel Study. This season we will be hitting 300 and crossing that line. It's wild. But to be fair, we did used to do 3 movies at a time, so we got there a lot faster back in the day. All right. So we've got a River Phoenix movie that, as I mentioned earlier, I had never heard of. It's called Dogfight. This was another one of Janine's picks, and you said this was a movie you just happened to see back in the day on TV. Tell us about Dogfight.
Yeah, I miss those days of just kind of changing channels and then landing on something, and I'm like, River Phoenix? I don't know what this is, but I'm just gonna watch it. And then you find it to be this really interesting movie, very much like Roman Holiday. It's set over the course of a day, and it's these two people who have this kind of unexpected day together and fundamentally changed and all of that kind of thing. River Phoenix with his trying to find an ugly girl to take to this dogfight contest, and whoever brings the ugliest date wins prize money. So he's kind of scouring the city, San Francisco, to find the ugliest girl. He last minute finds Lili Taylor, takes her to this party. And just a really interesting premise. The screenwriter actually kind of experienced something like this, and like the dogfight was a real thing amongst him and his friends. And he said he went to it and he just thought it was the most disgusting thing, and it really affected him. So that's what made him want to write this film. I love the performance from Lili Taylor. I recently watched this kind of interview, and the biggest thing with her and the director was, after this whole dogfight thing happens and he comes back to apologize, why would she say yes to going out with him?
Right. Yeah.
So, because there was nothing in the script that really spoke to that. Even River Phoenix was like, why would she say yes?
Right.
So they kind of came to this conclusion to have her be very kind of angry with him, and she's challenging him. And that kind of challenging nature would be kind of the reason she's going to go with him, but she's really going to be more on guard and kind of, checking everything he says. So I like that there's this shift that happens with the film. We're kind of building up to this event, and then after that happens, it's really focused on the two of them. So I really love the story, love the performances, the just kind of unexpected nature of how their relationship develops, how they kind of see something in each other kind of suddenly. And I think it ends really beautifully as well. So
yeah.
What do you think, Brian?
Yep, same.
I approve of Janine's message.
Yes. She said everything. I had sent her a message, and she pretty much just said everything. I texted her.
So. He gave me those lines. Yes.
I love it.
No. Yeah, this movie was like never on my radar, like never even heard of it. And so it took me a minute to like figure out, okay, what is this dogfight thing, and like what they were kind of like trying to do, what the whole thing was. Like I knew, like, okay, they're up to something, it's a bunch of Marines, those Marines. I know them well, but I do like they use a lot of like some terminology in there, jarhead, stuff like that, squids, those kind of things.
Little Brendan Fraser.
I'm sorry. Was that Brendan Fraser?
It was.
Right. One line.
I'm like, what? Like,
And the girl with no
pretty
teeth
Encino
is the
Man.
voice of Tommy Pickles. So
Oh yes, that's right. I thought that was her too. Yeah,
Yep.
she had been on Friends too. I think she
Mhm.
was on an episode of Friends.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it took me a second to like, okay, I know they're like gonna have a night on the town and like
Inviting
obviously
girls
they're
to
trying
this
to pick up some
party and
girls, but
yeah,
I didn't know. Yeah, it's like they're trying to find these
the
like
ugliest
lesser below
girls.
average
Yeah.
kind of like, I was like, oh no. Um and then it was super interesting to like see how this played out.
And even him like trying to get her to not go in, and he's kind of
Yeah, there
miserable
was
because he's immediately feeling bad once he walks in there with her about what
oh
he's
yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to give her a couple of outs, but she's like super innocent and just like, oh man, this guy's taking interest in like, yeah, I want to like, you know,
Yeah.
I want to have some freedom and experience this. And and then it's interesting, like there's this like power shift
Yeah.
afterwards, where she kind of has a little more power,
Yeah.
because she's like testing things and like is more guarded to
Yeah.
see like, is he gonna be real about this kind of thing. So and then like the end was kind of perfect. Like I was kind of thinking too as I'm watching it, because I'm always like thinking that, like I did that with Roman Holiday as well, where it was like I was thinking about that shot as he's walking towards camera,
Yeah.
and we're like, there's no dolly track, so it's not like it's a dolly, but it wasn't like traditional dolly track.
Yeah.
There's a little shake with the camera, but it's this nice. I mean, it's the location's gorgeous, obviously, so
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
it just lends itself. But we're getting all this like great scenery, and he's walking, and that was like a kind of a perfect ending. Like, that's
Yeah.
just made sense. This one, it was the same because I was like calling it too. I was like, okay, this is where it needs to end. Like, they're just gonna hug, and that's it. And just gonna
Yeah.
hold on this hug, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna fade to black, and like that's exactly what happened. And then like I like that really affected me, because he had been, and it was sad to see him like tear up her address,
Yeah, throw it
but
out the window and kind of just chuckle with his voice.
like
Like it didn't, none of that meant anything because,
yeah,
it had us invested in that relationship by the
right,
end. And we
yeah,
really
Right.
believed that he was really committed to kind of seeing this through with her
right.
kind of thing. But
But it also made sense because he kind of, I mean, he's going to Vietnam.
yeah.
He
Right.
kind of has to compartmentalize this,
Hmm.
and
Well, that's what the whole
and
bullshit
then
conversation was about, right?
right,
That they were
yeah,
talking
Yeah.
about compartmentalization.
When him and
in a
his
way.
friend and like,
that's what that is.
how did we
Yeah,
get like
Yeah.
this?
yeah,
How did we
yeah.
become these bullshitters? Yeah.
hmm
Right.
Yeah, and that whole like, the whole bullshit philosophy kind of like makes sense, where
It
it's like,
does.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, um, but that end was like, really great to see that, and she still was just like literally there with with open arms,
Yes, and just how
for
he
him,
holds on
not
to her
even.
so tight. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
And they wanted to film a whole new ending without the director. Like River had called
Mm,
her and was like, "Oh, so you're going to be a part of this new ending?" And she's like, "What new ending?" They
right,
wanted it to be more like, sweeping and like,
right.
this big romantic gesture kind of
Mhm.
thing.
well,
And
we've
she
Yeah.
didn't want to
seen
do
this
that. Yeah,
story
exactly.
after
Mhm.
this. We've
Yeah.
seen many movies about what happens to soldiers when
Right.
they come home. It
Mhm.
wasn't about that because if we got
Yeah.
to watch his PTSD, that's a whole nother movie. Like
Yeah.
Right.
we know he
She
has that. We know
Yeah,
he's
they were
afflicted.
wanting this
Mhm.
officer and a gentleman kind of thing
Yeah.
happening,
Oh, yeah. Which
and she was
that whole scenario is very different.
yeah,
Like this. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, but yeah, she didn't want to do that, and so she ended up getting the ending
Good.
that she wanted.
Yeah,
And
that's
River
good.
River stood behind her. He was like, "I'm not doing it. If you're not
Yeah.
involved,
Good.
I'm not doing it."
Mhm.
So yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
Missed that guy big time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think of this going in either. I hated the dogfight just because it's
yeah,
despicable.
mhm.
And how
And I love her
unfortunately, a lot
yelling
of
at
dudes are
them.
that way. Yeah,
Mhm.
especially when she comes out
Yeah.
and slaps him and then like
Mhm.
punches him
Oh,
right in the
man.
nose.
I
I
know.
love that.
Yeah,
Lili does such a brilliant job of playing the meek character, but with like
yeah,
strength, and that's not something you see very often to see both in a character. And I love how she basically starts calling him out on his bullshit.
yeah,
Talking about the bullshit. She calls him out on it, but he needs it to go to war with. So
yeah. And I love
it's
that
like his
he just
armor.
submits. Like he doesn't argue with
Yeah.
her. he just takes it like, yeah, you're right. Like, okay. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I also like that she's basically trying to sand off his rough edges because he's just angry at everyone.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it stems from his dad and his dad's need to get rid of him because he was just got rid of him as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And when she like curses back at him, like in the restaurant when she's ordering food.
Yeah, when she's like, I'll take us.
I don't know what this asshole wants.
Yeah.
Right. But he deserved that, and it showed that she could stay on his level.
Yeah, I love her challenge.
And it was kind of funny too.
Yeah, because then they kind of have this little laugh at the end. They share a little laugh after that. Yeah,
right.
But I think that lends to the ending where it shows that she will be there and be capable of taking care of him. And another reason why we don't need more past that moment is the movie's already laid it out for you.
Yeah.
It's a character story. It's literally about these two people and their story. The one thing I found odd about this film was the act structure. So like Act 1 was pretty typical, like in length and duration. Act 2 seemed pretty lengthy because it was quite a bit of them getting to know each other and spending time in the city. And Act 3 was really short and like just a little bit of the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Part.
Right.
And then him coming home.
As soon as he leaves, that's like Act 3. And it's weird because I know they shot either that on a set or like there was no indication of where they were really other than they were on like a hillside somewhere. So it was simple, quick. It was low budget to just get it done. And it would be chaotic like that. That's war. So they did a good job with it. It's just weird to see such a short like wrap up third act. But it works. It does work for the film.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on Dogfight?
I just generally I love like Lili Taylor's approach to this character because when I watched her interview, she was talking about taking on this character as if it was a collaboration with the character. Like she would say, I have these ideas and the character would allow my input. Like it was interesting how she was talking about it.
Wow.
So it was a pure, like when she takes on a character, she sees it as a collaboration with the character and if they'll listen to her ideas or not. So I really liked her going into it with that mindset. So I think that added a lot to how kind of sweet but strong this character was.
Yeah.
But almost like she's borrowing from the character and like, I don't know. That's interesting for an actor to.
Yeah, because then she was talking about because Mary Harron then hired her to do a movie after this. I can't remember what movie it was to play this real life person, and it's a really abrasive person that she was playing. And so she was like, when I took on that character, I would kind of come in with ideas, and like they would tell me to shut up. Like, yeah.
Interesting. Damn.
Yeah, she really talks about this character that she's inhabiting as like someone she's collaborating with and giving input and taking from each other as if it's a separate person. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in a sense, they are. I mean, that's what actors do want people to know is like, I'm not this person ever. The fact that you think I am is weird. So I like that she in her head just kind of just made that the like stance.
Yeah.
I wonder if other actors do that, but they just don't tell us. Because I'm sure. Brian, any other thoughts?
Not really. Nothing's really coming to mind. It was just like another. I'm glad I got to see both of these films, and it is interesting how I was curious about how they connected too, because I know like not all the movies we watch like have to have this connection.
Right.
But yeah, there is this whole like, and Janine, you alluded to it about it's this like sweeping kind of 24-hour or less romance that happens, in both of these and very different ways.
Kind of circumstances.
Yeah.
But a day with somebody that's very unexpected that fundamentally kind of changes you, even if it doesn't go beyond that day. It stays with you. And so I love the idea that these movies kind of both have that theme, even if it's illustrated differently.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. And take place in very, it's so weird because like this one was made in like, came out in 91, but it's like set like 63 or whatever. And then Roman Holiday takes place,
when
it's 50 when it's actually made, but
but they both feel old. Which is what's interesting about them.
And you were saying
on the sets and the costumes for Dogfight as well. Everybody looked
right.
like hippies when they came back, and everybody looked like kind of stuffy early '60s clothing in the early part of it. You were going to say something else there, Brian?
Oh, Janine was talking about how this was like shot in Seattle and that surrounding area. So I imagine like you were talking about the like the very short Vietnam scene we got was probably just, I mean, it looks like Washington, you know, like
some hillside.
And they totally
because did not have a huge budget or anything like that. So,
I mean, like they don't
show director in the 90s.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. There's no like big sweeping like establishing shot. You know, of anything. There's no like Hueys flying in, none of that. You know what I mean? Like, so
the Huey is like the quintessential Vietnam thing.
You see the Huey, you're like, oh yeah, this is Vietnam.
Yeah, this is Vietnam. It's wild like that. It's an interesting movie because I mentioned this before we started the show, but it filmed in Washington potentially, but it takes place in San Francisco, and everything they're talking about when they're like, okay, soldiers report to Treasure Island, I'm like, oh hey, I know where that is. And I know that there's a Navy base there, so this makes perfect sense that the Marines would have to report there. And just little things like that, that just they fill. It's amazing how just one little mention of this or that can just fill in the world so simply, without these long diatribes explaining where they are.
And like those things about like there's like, I mean, I think it was like the bartender talking about going to TJ. He got that tattoo or whatever in TJ, which is what we call Tijuana. Funny, like I was like stationed in Miramar for a little bit for training, which was at the time, I think it still is a Marine Corps Air Station now, but that's where Top Gun used to be. But at that time, TJ was off limits for us when we were down there, so we weren't allowed to go to TJ. Yeah, they do that. I blame it was probably the Marines. They probably made it off limits. Yeah. But like he had talked about going to TJ in the movie and everything, and that's how they like realized, you know, that he was, you know, a Marine and like.
Yeah,
I thought his green outfit might have had something to like do with that, but apparently,
it does a little bit. It's not.
They didn't notice, but people on the street did.
Right. So. Yeah. Which I did. I loved the tattoos he had too. Like that was like a nice detail.
Yeah, he got the
little blue jay that he had.
And like the one for all his friends,
the bees.
4 bees.
Yeah, bees specifically. Yeah.
So it's like it just kind of visual cue to tell us like what actually happened, and
Yeah, and he you could see he got hurt too, because when we see him in the end, he is limping to the diner.
Yeah.
So he took a pretty big piece of shrapnel to the leg.
Yeah, when we see that in that little.
Yeah.
The little battle scene there, but they kind of paint the whole like very shortly and quickly like establish all the things in that coming home sequence, you know, or coming to see her.
Yeah,
you know, the whole like I love that like they gave him another drink and one of the other guys was like, no, that one's on the house.
Yeah,
you know,
thank you.
Like,
yeah.
Well, and they
like
have that look
really
of sympathy, but like thank you, but also sympathetic, like what hell you must have gone through.
Right.
But they did a good job because he in the streets, people were like calling him baby killer.
Yeah, how many babies did you kill? Like, all that shit.
So they were definitely showing that side of things. This is such an interesting time because do you really blame soldiers for the fact that they were forced to do this and in most cases drafted to do this? Like,
right.
Yeah.
And then you call them baby killer when you come home. I think it's a bit of a bridge too far.
Right.
Nothing wrong with criticizing the government's choice or, you know, the army's choice, but the military's choice. But to blame each individual soldier, I'm glad we don't do that anymore. I think we've gone a little too far the other way though.
Yeah.
Where we're just like, oh, you wore a uniform, you're the best ever, and I'm like, or they just joined the military, and there's nothing that's good. Like I'm not knocking that, but it doesn't make everybody that joins the military a hero by default. Some people just stay stateside and do paperwork, which we need that, but you know. Thank you for your service is not something everybody in uniform wants to hear. And I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Like, we don't want people saying baby killer, but we also just we were in. Cool. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about something else.
I see both sides of that.
But this film does that. It fills in the world quite nicely. And for a romantic comedy, or well, I guess it's not a romantic comedy.
Yeah,
it's like a romance.
It's a romantic comedy, romantic dramedy, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not something you see in something that's basically about two characters. You usually just see them dealing with each other and growing.
Yeah. And even that little bit of kind of like holding out to know if like Rose is actually going to be there, because the layers of like all of the female relatives in her family being named Rose, is she going to be the Rose that's still there? Somebody kind of is wondering, and then somebody does make that comment like that she's not really a looker or whatever, you know, playing into kind of how they met all those years ago. So and then when she comes out, we see it's her, and like he goes over there.
Can we talk about Oki for just a minute? I didn't expect that character. Like, I thought he was kind of dumb at first, but then like, no, like he was like
when they were getting the tattoos and he just kept repeating like what to get to the guy, and he was getting so
exact same spot.
I would have gotten frustrated and been like, oops, you know, sorry, dude, I screwed up your B. Your B has a really big stinger now. I like the one last thing that I'm going to say, because this is about all I have. But I do like how she asked them, how did you guys meet? And they're like, we stood in line together.
So
we were always just lined up. It was alphabetical. It's
truly how you meet. Like, some of my best friends from basic training were, you know, the same last letter as me, like, because they were right there in the bunk. So it makes sense. It's just funny that circumstance will bring you together rather than fate, in a way. Anyway, if you guys know other thoughts, we can of course rate Dogfight and talk about upcoming episodes. I didn't even mention one of the episodes we'll have coming up, but Janine, what do you rate Dogfight?
Just love this movie. Give it a 8.5.
8.5. All right, Brian, are you gonna echo that? Janine said it, so it's true. It's funny because it used to be Mr. Marvelite and Lala that would have this, like, they'd say
this back and forth.
You guys.
I'm gonna make a shirt that says written and directed by all the movie things.
I love it. I would wear that shirt just to make people go, who? Be like,
who?
If you don't know, you don't know.
You're missing out.
Up and coming, right? So 2 8.5s. I'm going to give it an 8. I think this is a solid flick. I did not expect a movie I'd never heard of to be as good as this. And being a period piece, I think it does an exceptional job of keeping that up. But it really is about these two characters. So an 8 for me. All right. So that is the conclusion of the movies for this evening. But we do have a special episode coming up here in July before the release of Superman. The James Gunn retelling of Superman, if you will. We will be doing a debate of sorts. It's going to be me versus, I think, everyone at this point. I don't think it'll be anyone else on the other side of this, but that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. But we're going to discuss Man of Steel, and we're going to discuss my hang-ups with it, and then I'll get to hear why other people don't have those hang-ups, and then maybe they'll persuade me after 7 viewings of this film to enjoy it. We'll see. That's a lot of times to watch a movie you don't like. But that's how much I wanted to like it. If that says anything, I really I want to like all Superman movies.
There.
Right. And I was like, there's something here. I can tell there's something, and everybody keeps saying they like it. What am I missing?
Watch it again.
Every time I watch it, but every time I watch it, I get
there
frustrated.
may be something there that wasn't there before.
I've even written down things about this movie because of how much I got frustrated by it. And it's one of the better DCEU films. That's what's so weird about it. Is it's definitely one of the better ones. But I still,
and I think
because we could talk about Aquaman and smelling.
Yeah, I think so too.
Water.
It needed a direct sequel that was solely about that character and not.
Even if you never did a Batman movie before going to BVS, it would have worked with a sequel. So anyway, catch us obviously in July for that. But we will be doing some other films. We should be having a musical episode with Hairspray and Wicked. That was at the request of Mr. Marvelite, who would like to join us for those two films. He said he was thinking about them and going, these are both about discrimination and both musicals. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that follows. So we'll be doing that. We will probably be doing Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, as well as many other films. We're trying to get past that 300 mark before the end of the season. So we do appreciate you guys being here for the Real Study Season 4, Episode 25. We hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.